Are we live?
Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live stream. Happy Aniridia Day. And today I have some guests with me. On the top left is my Aunt Tina. On the
Hello.
bottom left is my sister Gwen.
Hi.
And on right under me, the bottom right, is my cousin Jem, who you guys have probably seen in a couple live streams. And today we wanted to talk about Aniridia and what it is and how we have challenges because of it, but how we overcome those things. But first, we have quite a few announcements. So first, I want to say that we now have a Live Accessible Clubhouse Club, and we're going to have a meeting on Thursday, June 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And I am going to put the link in the chat, but it is also in the description of this video. And you can also join our Discord server. And Jem can tell you about Discord a little bit. Jem.
Oh, now you make me say hi. 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 I'm back. Hi.
Yeah, so tell them a little bit about Discord.
You're the most discordant.
Well, basically, Discord is like, what do you call this? A text. Yeah, it's a platform where you can do, message boards and voice calls. And basically, you go in there and you join the Live Accessible community, and you can talk to people, including Carrie and a bunch of other YouTubers that join the Live Accessible Discord server. And there are many different text channels there where you can put your opinion, post your opinion, join the VC chats or the voice channel calls, and just have fun with people. So yeah, if you have time, or if you already have a Discord account, or if you are interested in Discord, go ahead and make a Discord account and then join the Live Accessible. It's you have to accept the invitation to be able to go into the server. So
yes, I posted the link in the description as well as in the chat. So we'd love to see you there. It's quite a fun little community, and there's quite a few people in there. It's pretty active, and there's always something going on. And another announcement I have to make is that now there is an official Live Accessible podcast. It's available on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and a lot of other platforms as well. So you guys can check that out. I've gotten a lot of requests for the live streams that I do on here to be put in a podcast format. So for now, they're just going to be republishing the live streams in a podcast format, so you guys can listen to it in the background or from your smart speaker. And maybe in the future, I will have a co-host, maybe a mysterious co-host. Okay, future co-host, please don't die. But yeah, and so you guys can listen to that. And without further ado, I want to reintroduce our guests again, just in case you just popped into the stream. Again, on the top left is my Aunt Tina.
That's me.
And that's on the bottom left is my sister Gwen, and on the bottom right is my cousin Jem. And I might be calling my aunt Tita, because that's how you say aunt in Tagalog, which is the Filipino language. And I will probably be calling my sister Ate, which is big sister in Tagalog. So yeah, I feel kind of really weird if I start calling my sister Gwen or my aunt Tina. So it just comes naturally. So yeah, so today is Aniridia Day, and let's just talk about what Aniridia is. Do you want to tackle that, Tita?
Yes, I am going to try to explain everything layman's language, the best medical, covering the issues medically as best as I can. Aniridia is Greek for without iris. Iris is the round ring around the pupil. And if you have aniridia as a baby, that ring has no color. And that's how doctors know that you have aniridia. It's congenital. That means that you get it from birth. And it's also bilateral. That means that you get it on both eyes. It's a I mean, I'm going to talk about my experiences later, but as a child, we thought that we were one legally blind, and the doctor said we were going to be sensitive to light, and that's all we knew. But as we grew older, then we got to find out that we had sublux subluxated lenses. We have corneal scarring, eventually down the road cataracts, and of course we had close angle glaucoma. So all of this, and there are other symptoms that seem. I'm just going to say this last sentence here before you come in. Um, there are a lot of other symptoms that are characteristic of aniridic patients with aniridia or aniridic patients, and so aniridia is no longer just a condition but a syndrome. Okay.
Yes, that's right. And about 1 out of 40,000 people can get aniridia, but also because it is hereditary, or it can be hereditary. You a lot of families have multiple members who are affected by aniridia. So in our family, my aunt has aniridia, my dad has aniridia, my sister, my cousin, and a lot of my other aunts and uncles and cousins as well. There's always a 50% chance of passing aniridia down to your children.
If you have it.
Yes, if you have it. It can also be sporadic. So even if your parents or two people have a child and the parents don't have any aniridia, the child can have aniridia. It's a genetic condition, and it's affects the PAX6 gene. Is that right, Tita?
Yes, it starts out sporadically, so you never know where it comes from. But it's a genetic mutation that affects the PAX6 gene, which is responsible for the formation and the maintenance of the eyes, which medical science found out later is also plays a significant role in the development of the pancreas, the central nervous system, the olfactory system, and also some parts of the brain. So sometimes anuritic patients have medical issues complicating the not just the aniridia but their entire medical condition. Usually diabetes, metabolic issues, and you know what? Lately, a lot of patients have the autistic syndrome or the disorder. So it's a lot of issues together. That's why it's called the syndrome, aniridia syndrome, autistic spectrum disorder. There you go, ASD.
So in our family, it started with my grandma, which is my aunt's mom. And could you tell them just a little bit about that?
Wow, I feel like I'm the only one talking.
It's okay.
Well,
We'll make them talk later.
My mom, when she was a little girl, um, she had small cornea, really irregularly small cornea, and she said that she has nystagmus. But the weird thing and the great thing is she outgrew those symptoms. Later, when we went to the Aniridia Foundation International, I asked her for genetic for DNA sampling, which is the swabbing of your saliva and sending it to them. She has aniridia. So that was a discovery which we never knew until then. And then from my mom, we were 4 out of 5 children who have aniridia. And then my oldest sister has two children, one male, one female, with both with Aniridia. My second brother has don't have children with Aniridia. And then my only sighted brother don't have children with Aniridia. Then I go next. I have 50%. My oldest has no Aniridia. Jem unfortunately has Aniridia. And then Carrie's dad, my youngest brother, has two girls with Aniridia out of
And
three.
what about you, Sister Gwen? Why don't you tell them?
Do you mean none? She's not laughing.
Okay, I'm Ate Gwen. I don't know what to call you. Tell them about your vision and about your kids too, if they have Aniridia or not.
Yeah, so my vision, it's very difficult to explain it exactly, but I know that it was a lot better growing up. But today, as of today, like my left eye, I can't see at all out of my left eye. Um,
Wait,
my
but that's because of a surgery, right?
no,
Oh,
no. Yeah, I mean, I had a surgery to remove like Tita said, cataracts come with aniridia. So I actually had surgery I think before I was 20. I don't remember exactly, late teens, and they it was the surgery went really good. I mean, I remember they said it was like textbook perfect, and they got all the cataracts out and everything, but there was the vision was really not, I didn't see any better at all. I think they said it was due to the nerve damage,
yeah.
that my eye, already sustained from the glaucoma or the cataracts, or whatever in general. So even though it was completely, they were able to remove it completely, the cataracts part, but there was just already nerve damage. And I used to be able to see more light, I would say, before the surgery. But like, yeah, it took about, like I said, late teens. I pretty much, that my left eye was pretty much really deteriorated. My vision had pretty much really deteriorated. I could see a little bit with light, but after the surgery, I think I couldn't see any more light. So that's completely, my vision on the left is completely gone. My right, I haven't measured my acuity like in forever. I'm still able to read out of it. Of course, it has to be, the text has to be larger. And I don't know, Car. Well, how much do you think? I mean, I know you can probably see more than me.
I can't
But
see through your eyes, Ate. I don't know how much you can see.
it's just really difficult to, like, I know if I was sitting, like, I know right now I can't see any of you. Like, I don't know how, I guess I'm a foot away from my phone, and I can't see anyone unless I really like magnify my phone. But yeah, as far as, I have two children, and neither of them have aniridia. And
Yay!
actually, yeah, I'm very thankful, but actually I know that it's always 50-50, like Tita said, and what the
No,
doctor did
from them there will be no more Aniridia. No
what
more
the
Aniridia
doc
from your kids.
from my, yeah, what they said, that if it doesn't skip generations, so if they were to have children, they would not, it wouldn't pass on to their children. But if I were to have another child, it's
Yay!
50-50. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
not
So
that that's
basically,
happening.
if the person has Aniridia, No matter, it doesn't matter if their parents had it or like anything, it's autosomal dominant. So as long as somebody has Aniridia, they're always going to have a 50% chance of passing it. And if you didn't get Aniridia and your parents had it, there's really no way to pass it. Yeah. So Jem, why don't you tell them a little bit about your vision?
Oh, we're not doing it in order of age.
Oh. Are you calling me old?
No, it's fine. So how do I explain
Dead
it?
air.
See, I told you it's hard to explain.
It's hard to. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain. I guess I don't know. Fortunately enough, since I was little, I've had the same what is it, acuity as I've had, like, as I do now. And basically I think I have the strongest out of the people in the family that have Aniridia. I have the strongest vision. So
I think so.
Yeah.
So if I were to compare, I mean, like, if I were to give you a visual of how a visual of how what do you call this? How much I can see, it would probably be like, it also depends on depth perception also, because it depends on like how much light there is and like if it's daytime or nighttime. So for example, if I am looking at the computer screen right now I'm looking at a laptop screen. This is about a 15-inch screen. And so if I am, what is this, like 2 feet? Yeah, about 2 feet away from my computer, I can still see the faces and whether or not like my mom or my cousins are centered or not, and I can still see like their I can and whether they have their tea, and you know, whether, like, you know,
mine is
their
coffee.
right, their the length of their hair, the length of their, like, I mean, at least from what you can see in the camera, the hair, like some obvious features, like, you know, nose, mouth. Now when it gets to the eyes and, like, you know, smaller details, that's when it gets more blurry, and sometimes I don't see it. And so I also use magnification and other aids to help me see. But for example, I would just how do I explain it? I don't use as much, but I would like I still need magnification for some things. For example, if I'm using a washing machine or like the dryer, well, washing machine's fine at I think, but if I have to put my face on like the labels, if it's the dryer and then the text is far away from what you're supposed to put or what you're supposed to input for, you know, how you're supposed to dry your clothes, then I would have to pull out my phone and kind of take a picture of it and look at it and then know what I'm doing.
That's because iPhone doesn't have WeZoom.
It's okay. It does the job for me.
Android iOS battle.
It does the job for me. She still has some salt from that iOS thing. It's okay, just brush it off. All right. Let me.
What is that?
That is my son calling me. It cannot ever be silenced. Let's follow her brother. Okay.
And
sorry.
It's okay.
anyway,
I put my phone in silent, but because when my son went to he used to be with the Navy, so when he was on ship duty, I blocked, you know, even if it's on silent mode, the call comes through because it's very unpredictable the times that he calls. So up to now, I haven't turned that off. So sorry.
Mm. Anyway, so when it comes to like going outside, landmarks work for me instead of like the signs, because shapes and things are more recognizable to me rather than like reading the text, because I can't read the text sometimes. Well, a lot of the times. And also when it comes to dark and light, for example, stairs, and the color, or for example, if I'm walking down a brick staircase in the middle of the night, then I can't see the depth. Like, I don't have enough depth perception to see how deep the stairs are sometimes. But if it's like the daytime, like I still have a little bit of, what do you call that? I can still see a little bit of which part of the stair goes down. So that's, I guess, the simplest way to explain how much I can see. Oh, I also have peripheral still, so I can still see from this, when like you put your hand here, like you can see a little bit of it. So it's still not, a lot of people who have Aniridia, they either have like tunnel vision, or they have, I forgot the different ways to describe it, but some of them have like different vision. But
I have not really heard a lot of people with Aniridia that have tunnel vision, Tita.
Oh, really?
What do you know anything about that, Tita?
Tunnel vision? No, not with Aniridia. It's usually the retinitis pigmentosa.
Yeah, that's usually RP that is
tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision. So I think, at least for me, I'm probably in the middle of my sister and Jem, and I can see with both eyes still. Everything is, I would say, just without a lot of detail, and just the way that my eyes focus, I have to see things closer, even if I have like my screen blown up and like with a magnifier, I still like, it still looks blurry. Like a letter can be like the size of a wall, but if I'm not close enough to it, it's like I just can't quite focus on it. I don't know how else to explain that. I mean, I'd probably be able to see it if it's as big as a wall, depending on how far I am. But like, it just wouldn't look clear. I could probably increase the magnification on the computer or on my phone and be able to look at it farther away, but it's much more comfortable and easier on my eyes to actually reduce the magnification and then just look at it closer, if that makes sense. And so, like on paper, my acuity would be around 20/600, 20/800. But again, numbers don't really say much because it always kind of changes doctor to doctor. And like, depending on the lighting of the room when they test you, and depending on the paper, their chart, like, and how the person is holding it, and sometimes they don't even use the paper on me, they just use their fingers. And if they're holding up their fingers and asking you to count, and there's a white wall behind you, can't see anything. So I always say, okay, can you move your hand to like, so that the background is the door, because usually the door is a dark color, and then I'll be able to see that better. So for me, I really prefer inverted colors or a dark theme. What about you, Ate and Jem? Do you guys like dark theme better, or it doesn't matter?
I like dark theme, except for Facebook.
This is what I don't understand. Okay.
Why? I don't get it.
I know.
My screen curtain is on.
I like dark theme better because it's easier on the eyes.
I think that my sister just doesn't want to use dark theme on Facebook because I told her to do it. That's all. That's all that is.
Definitely. No, I love dark theme.
It's because she didn't know that Facebook had a dark theme, and so instead of saying, "Okay, how do I turn it on?" she's just like, "I don't like dark theme on Facebook."
You definitely got it.
It's so good
I love dark theme. I can generally see a lot better with a darker background and a lighter whatever, and also with a lot of contrast. The contrast really helps. And not like bright, contrast. But the contrast. Oh, and I wanted to add also the depth perception. I have the same problems, probably worse than Jara, with the if the steps or the stairs, if they don't have like the edges aren't marked,
Yes.
with like a contrasting color or something like that, or if the contrasting color, it's like if it's not bright enough, or if they all are in a certain angle so that they all look like one giant ramp, because when I approach it, like there's been several instances where I just don't see it, and I just oops. So yeah, I just can't tell. It just looks absolutely flat to me, whether or not it's the middle of the night, which I don't know where we're going in the middle of the night, but or in the middle of the day. It just looks flat to me, those steps with no markers.
The middle of the night is the worst.
Middle of the night?
Where are you guys going in the middle of the night?
I know, right? There's some nonetheless. They sleepwalk. But regardless, reading and writing, you have to bring your face next to the paper, the book, or whatever, right? Or the screen.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Tita,
yeah.
Well, what about your vision? Can you? I forgot to ask you.
I'm totally blind, girl. You know that.
Well, I know that, but they don't. Okay. Did you have vision? Did you have vision? And how did you lose it?
Yeah, when I was young, I had residual vision, and I guess I also had the strongest vision among the four of us. And my vision was last to leave. So when I was young, yeah. And in school, that was my thing. Every time it's the start of school year, my mom would talk to them already, the teachers, right? All the teachers. But then I would always get the question, why are you kissing the paper? Or what are you doing? On the desk. And, later I just got so annoyed. So I would answer, why are you kissing the paper? I would go, because I love it. And then, I'd get punished. So also I thought the doctors told us we were legally blind and extremely nearsighted. So outside, when we had flag ceremony, you know how we're photophobic. Strong sunlight would really hurt my eyes, I remember. So flag ceremony, which is every Monday, the beginning of Monday, everybody would be lined up and I would have my eyes closed, because it was hurting.
Well, I want to just say one thing. When they would ask me, they wouldn't really ask me about kissing the paper, but I would use that to my advantage. It's cool,
Me too.
right?
Wait, what? How?
Okay, because I would have my pencil in my hand, and I would, be looking at the paper really close, and I would put like my elbow, and then rest my head on my elbow kind of thing, and pretend that I was, writing and working.
That's right.
And then,
I do that too.
And then I would fall fast asleep.
Do the same thing. You're so right. You are so right.
And then if anybody asks, I just say, "Oh, I'm just writing," and I'll move my
where. Well, I would
so
use
good
it
at
as
it that I can move my
head
hand in my sleep.
What did you say? What did she say?
She got so good at it that she could move her head in her sleep.
Yeah, I can move my hand periodically.
That is
make
so
it look
true.
like.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! But I get the best because my head would be on the desk and I would really literally be asleep with my pencil in my hand. And then one time, the whole class stood to go to another room, and I was left there sleeping.
The funniest thing is you were sitting in the front of the classroom and the teacher does not even suspect anything because it's
Yeah.
just like you're right.
You can go ahead and doze off.
This is so bad, but what I used to do was that what I used to do, this was already in college actually. This is so bad, but I would put on the recorder in my phone. Put on the recorder in my phone. And it was early morning class, and I would just like put the recorder. I mean, put my phone underneath. You know that like little shelf underneath the desk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put my phone underneath, and then I would start writing, and then I would just do that the whole time during the class, and have the lecture. It's just
One thing about recording classes, which is really good, is you can sleep during the class, and once you're home or whatever, you could play back the recording at double speed. So you're taking like half the time to listen to
So classic. So classic.
so now if there are extra rules for people like us in the future, it's because of us. We just ruined it for everybody.
I hope no teachers are like listening and paying attention, and I hope they don't have any kids.
Well, now they know better.
I'm sure they
Just let
knew.
them
They
sleep.
probably just didn't want to say anything. Some of them did. No.
Yeah, I'm sure too.
Yeah. It was too much of a bother to say anything, probably, for some of them.
I didn't like
you
they
see,
would always want to. Go ahead, Tita.
Do you see questions in the comments or the chat tab? Because I couldn't. I'm trying
I think
to.
everybody's just very amused at what's going on in the stream with your ringtone and our
Oh my
stories.
gosh.
Isn't that the best ringtone, guys?
That's Stewie.
That is
Mom.
the best ringtone.
Mama.
Mama,
Mama, mom,
Mama,
mom, mama.
Mama, Daddy, tea.
But jumping into something that's really funny, probably not funny, har. But when I was dating was when I was so
I know
apprehensive
this
about my
story.
condition. Oh, you know the story?
Go
We were in a mall, and I was pretending that I could, see, and there's nothing wrong with me. And even if they could see, there's something wrong, I would say, "Oh no, I'm fine." So I was dating this. We were going to see a movie, and bless his heart, because he said, "Can I help you? You want my arm?" And I just declined it for some reason. Stupid me. And he bought me hot chocolate, and so I
Uh-oh.
was walking with my hot chocolate, pretending to be independent
No.
and poised, and didn't see a flight of steps, which we needed to. We needed, going down to go to the movie, the theater, and I fell. And my chocolate, it was hot. It was over me, and
sorry.
well,
Oh no.
Oh no, Ate Gwen, don't add that one.
yeah. So that was one of the things, I mean, when I was refusing to be assisted, when he was already offering an arm, and he was just like, "Why do you say that you don't need assistance when you do?"
But if you were dating him, why didn't you just take his arm? So
I know,
that
right?
That was a great excuse. Really?
Yeah, I grabbed it,
Because those were the olden days where it's taboo.
It's
Wow.
taboo. It's like, oh,
But you could
I
have used
need your
it to your
help.
advantage.
I
you
can't
know?
see.
I don't know.
Tita was very proud. That's it.
All
She
right,
was very
stop. I told you I was young and stupid, okay?
proud.
Yeah, you know what that guy told me before he left? He
Mm.
said, you have, I like your personality. I like the way you think. The only reason the only thing I don't like, and the thing that I am going to wait for you to admit, is I can't see very well, and I need you to assist me in some of the things that I need to do. And I
Wow.
never did.
Wow.
Well,
Well,
So
since you
what
have
did
dad
it
now.
take for you to, accept your blindness and, embrace who you are?
well, because when I was born, unlike you guys, one inclusive education was one never heard of. There was either the school for the blind, which is a residential school. You live there, and of course, my my parents didn't want that for us. Or your mainstream, but what is mainstreaming? Mainstreaming wasn't even heard of at that time.
Mm.
So there was, I know, it was exclusive school run by nuns, and so they were just helping us the best way they can. The teachers would like, some teachers would copy math notes for us, until I learned, carbon paper. I don't know if your your audience are young, if they know that it's like a carbon, very thin black paper that you put under regular paper, and when you write, it copies exactly what you've written to the paper underneath, so that I can have a copy to for those notes. And what else would they do? Sometimes they just, of course, there's no email then. They just prepare like copies of assignments, readings, give me an extra copy. It's really hard work, more work for the teachers then, because of there's nothing digital. Um, so when in college, that was the same case, and I had to, sink or swim. Often, and then of course the canes weren't available. There wasn't anyone to really help me or advise. I got in terms with my condition, I would say, when I was a young adult, when I was already like a young professional. I said, "This is me. This is part of me." And then I got introduced to the many organizations that for disabilities, which we never knew of before. And that was when I started to think, hey, this is a condition that one, people should accept me for who I am, and I myself should accept myself for who I am as well. That's the first step. So I was already an adult, and I got into know communities. That's why it's so helpful to be a part of a community of people with disabilities, because it's a support group. During that time, there were some which my older sister was a part of. There were some existing already, but they were all struggling like I was. No solution yet at that point. Braille was one option, and I didn't think that I needed Braille at that point. Well, eventually in college, I studied Braille through Hadley because I thought I needed it. I used it for some time until the digital world came and computers and all that. That was a time when I learned to accept myself, so I started empowering myself. But
And
for
I
the
think,
longest, yeah, go ahead.
Tita Tina, I would say that you are one of the biggest inspirations in our family. In a little bit, we'll get into some of the things that you were able to accomplish, even
Your
though
your dad will puke at that.
Wow, that
he
was
can
attractive.
do that. That's okay. He's not here, and he'll not watch, so it's okay. Oh my goodness! But what about you, Ate Gwen? When did you accept your blindness, or are you still working on that? Just-
Are you still working on it?
LOL.
She's my sister. I can be a little bit mean with her.
A little bit. Okay.
I don't know what happened to her.
Where
Oh,
is
she
she?
muted herself.
Oh.
Okay. She
Hello.
muted herself.
I thought she was talking because I'm like, she was moving her.
Hello.
There you go. Hello.
Yeah, it's definitely I'm still working on it for sure, but it's definitely a process. I would say I accept it a lot more today than I did growing up. Growing up when I was very little, I would say that it I just was having a lot of fun being a kid, I would say. I mean, like I said, my vision was very good or a lot better then also. So, and it was more about just playing and digging in the dirt and all that kind of stuff, being outside. And I think it hit me a lot when I just remember like one memory actually, like because the way our room was in the Philippines, I used to sleep on a bunk bed. So I remember like with my left eye, I could see all the way across to like the neighbors, like across the yard, and I could see their light. But I could really see it well, and I could even see them like when they were outside. At night. But then eventually, I couldn't see the light. The light didn't bother my eyes anymore, and that was actually my vision deteriorating. So I started just noticing that, and then it I got a big awareness of my how different my I was because of my vision being in school. Um, so I really started noticing that even in kindergarten, I couldn't participate in in a
Oh,
lot of things in a lot of things that the other children were doing. And so I was left alone a lot. Like, you colored this, and they would be like singing songs and practicing their ABCs, and that really made me aware that I was very different, and kind of made me feel left out. And that feeling, I think, grew over time the older that I got. Also, like the move from the Philippines to the US, um, and the higher grades, and the more challenging the work became, I really grew to hate the fact that I couldn't see like everyone could, and I couldn't do the same things that everyone could do in school. So I that was it kind of really made me resentful of other people at times. Also, like, that they could do certain things that I couldn't. They could do things in PE class that I couldn't. And then when it was high school, everybody was doing, doing their taking their driver's test and getting their licenses and driving, and I could not. So it really was a battle for me to accept the fact that that I had a purpose in life, even if I'm not like everybody else, or even though I have this limitation, there's a reason behind it, and it isn't uh it isn't the worst thing that could happen to me. And then when I had my children, life wasn't it kind of like I wasn't focused on my blindness anymore. I was focused on what I can do for them. And the things that I used to do to cope with my blindness, and the way that I used to feel about other people, like those kinds of resentful moments that I would have, it kind of this like I didn't feel those things anymore, because my focus was, what can I do for my family? What can I do for my children? Um, my focus was about life, and no longer, feeling sorry for myself, feeling very limited of what I can't do. It became about, what can I do? So today, like, I used to be that person who would pretend that I can see, like, somebody were to say, "Hey, do you see that over there?" And I would be like, "Yeah, yeah, totally." And today I would be like, "Nope, can't see it. Show it to me." So I would just be, very honest today, I wouldn't make it look like I could see more than I could. And I mean, it took me this long to actually accept the fact that I need a cane. My sister can tell you.
I know when. After a sprain.
Yeah.
Well, really, I think that a lot of the time, all of us, in some way, shape, or form, we're still coming to terms with the challenges that being blind or having low vision presents. I think that every time that there is something like that happens, like that somebody says, oh, look at that over there, and I mean, for me at least, I have like this thought process. Okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna say, okay, I have no idea what you're saying or what you're looking at or what you're referring to, but at the same time, it's like you remember that, oh, I can't see that thing. Oh yeah, I have to
I
say
still
that.
tend to orient that way when somebody says, look over there to your right, and I still look.
Yeah, I mean, we can still face it, I mean, we can still turn our
but
head
you
to
tend
look at
see.
it, but yeah, I mean, I think that's why, on social media, there's always that meme going around, like that blind person who's holding a cane and they're looking down at their phone, and then I'm like, they're looking at their phone, they can't be blind. So what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so just because we can't see it doesn't mean that we're not focused on it and we're not going to face it that direction. But I mean, I think we can go
My
ahead.
instinct is to look so I can see. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
Yes, I was telling Jem because my husband asked me to wear a like a copper bracelet, but it's in a copper, but it's in a silicone bracelet, and it felt like a watch bracelet. I mean, that's the way it is, and because I was wearing watches like when I was young, I still had the instinct like to look at the time, and I would bend my wrist to see time, and I'm like, what am I doing? One, this is not a watch. Two, I can't see. So
Yeah.
things where which are a habit.
I think that we've all been there. Like all four of us, we pretended that we could see things, or
I know,
we just
right?
went along with everybody. It's sometimes it's easier than just explaining.
Yep.
Or sometimes, if it's a joke, you're like, well, that's okay. It's gonna not really be funny now that it already passed, or things like that. What about you, Jem? Like, didn't you do the same? How did you accept your blindness and your low visionness, whatever you want to call it?
How did I accept my low visionness? Well, of course, I had a mom who was very empowering. The whole
Wait, I can't hear you so well.
I had a mom who was very empowering.
What did you say?
What did you
Say it
say?
again.
There's this thing where you can adjust the volume next time.
Okay,
and then
okay,
it's
fine.
like, okay. So it's like, I guess throughout my like childhood, I guess I was given a very good environment where I could thrive. I could always be me. Of course, there's sometimes some really painful times when what you said, like parang your blindness is highlighted or your low visionness is highlighted. Like for example, like when I was little, and then you know how when kids always go to like field trips and then they see those things and they're all like, wow, and I'm like, oh, what? I don't.
That was me in Disney World, like the whole trip. I'm like,
that was, see, the thing was, that's when I would say wow too, but I had no idea what I was saying. Wow too. That's what I was
like
talking about.
I've gotten so good, like also like what you said earlier, like how like like blind things, right? You've gotten so good at like doing things that like you have to have like this sense to know where to turn your head because if you don't turn your head the right way or the right way, you're gonna look so weird.
I usually do that to tease, to tick off people in the when I that was when I was already working. Look over there to your right, and I would turn to the left. Tina, you're not looking. I go, does it matter?
So, but like, yeah, like, I mean, I tried to fit him, but it's like in the inside, like, have you guys ever felt like it's like so humiliating back then, especially since like I've always been in this environment where like, yeah, I can do anything, you know, like it was always like free. And then, as I grew up, it was still like whatever I couldn't do. I guess it was from out of, I don't know if it was out of, I think it was a mix of anger and humiliation, where I was like, well, I can't do that, but I'm gonna do this. So for example, like, I can't do what you're doing, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to do what you're doing, but I'm gonna take your spot, for example, like in like chorus or something like that. Like, I'm gonna I did whatever I can to be like successful back then when I was a kid, like good. This is more middle school, high school age, but like I kind of did everything to make sure my grades were good, like took every single club activity, like kind of tried to be the best like student and best kind of like something that people would look at like and be like, wow. And it worked because like how back in high school it's like everybody has like this weird like clicky thing, and I was always like the kid who was always like, if I whichever clique I want to go to, I will go to, and I would be accepted, kind of thing.
That is so interesting. I think that even though all of us had like a family who had blindness and who had other people who are low vision, we still like struggled with very similar things, but we handled it in very different ways. Like, Jem, you're like, you kind of put yourself out there more, whereas at least for me, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go in my little corner, and if nobody wants to talk to me, well then okay, I just won't talk to anybody. I'll just be by myself. And so it's interesting how even with similar circumstances, the same condition, I guess just because of the personality, we act differently to similar things. Like, what about you, Ate Gwen?
I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, you kind of went on your own space, and she put herself out there. I guess she just didn't do well with it in general growing up. I just felt very, very awkward, and so like I kind of had like a friend or two that I would just be I would gravitate to, like making like a really good friend, or a couple of really good friends, and I kind of stuck with them. That's kind of how I dealt with it. But I did my blindness did make me very, very, very depressed.
Did not.
It did make me very, very depressed. Very depressed. There was some moments in my life where it really did take over. That that I just felt so inadequate because of my limitations, and I really couldn't envision moving forward, not that not being such a big depressing factor. Like, if I were to meet myself back then, like, I think my old self would be like would it probably wouldn't be able to imagine that I would actually be okay with it today. I guess what I'm trying to say. So I just didn't deal with it well.
For me, it was the opposite effect. Like, as you guys can see, like,
Jem, could you get closer to the mic or talk louder?
Sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like for me, it was more of the opposite effect. Like, while you guys, took like some kind of turning point to kind of get out there, it
Mm.
took a big life event like to happen for me to go from out to in, and to
Mm.
realize, to accept myself more. So it's like I went from like, oh, I can't do this, but let me look, I can do this, to like, oh, like after I graduated, there was a time where I felt like, it's like I used to have like alternatives. I used to have alternatives, like things that like I felt like I could always make another opening if there was a door that was closed. But after I graduated and kind of like, left, the little fishbowl of studying, it was like so different, because I was like, why is it this hard to get a job? Is it my personality? Is it because of my blindness? Like, which is it? And then like, getting turned down a lot. And also, what else? Um, kind of, I was like, I remember, when I was, doing some interviews, I was still like, out there, because I was like, yeah, put your game face on. But in the end, it was
Mm.
like, when even like back then, the game face that I put on, where it's like, yeah, I can do this, or like, like, I mean, not like in a way that's like kind of prideful, but like kind of like, oh, kind of changing your personality in a way that's like suitable for the environment. I'm like, why isn't it working? And then
Mm.
it made me think. I'm like, yeah, it's is it my disability? And I had this kind of, um what do you call this, time occasion where I was like, oh my god, I hate my life. And I kind of like recoiled, and it made me realize that like in my weakness, I had to like accept, like, I have a weakness. I'm still coming to terms with my what do you call this, with my disability, but like it took that time of weakness for me to actually realize that, hey, I have this. So yeah.
So it was, I think, in college when I realized, because how did it happen? Oh, after high school, my parents asked us, my parents asked me, where do you want to go to school? And I was looking at the University of the Philippines, which is supposed to be the premier university. It's like, it's not an Ivy League university equivalent, but it's supposed to be oh, you guys know what I'm talking about. But my siblings all laughed at me, and then, like, they're like, ah, she wants to go to UP.
Mm.
Wah! And that was kind of a challenge for me. And my dad, was my only motivator. And try it. And so when I finally got there, I realized that, hey, I mean, I actually can make it. And that's when I became competitive. Like,
Mm.
in my mind, I mean, in my mind, I was thinking, come on, I'm going to compete with you, and we're not on equal footing, and I'm going to do better. That's when it started in my mind. So, college years, until I got hooked into a group, I mean, how you have peers that change your life totally. But I was very competitive until I graduated, and then my father said, "Well, I can still send you to masters, and you're still strong and single. Take your master's degree." And I did, and I was working and doing my master's at the same time. Now, I was teaching in the same university, but after I left the university and I was putting in my applications for, um, so many establishments, and I always get rejected, that's when I started to think. But the mindset for me was like when I started college, if no one would hire me, I'd set up my own educational institution. And so that's where it all started. And from then on, I was never an employee. I always had I always ran my businesses until we got to America, where we had to start from scratch. So always ran my own businesses since college. I mean, since masters, since I graduated my masters. Had a school, had a massage business, had a consultancy, had all these things. But it was because it started with I can compete, and then number two, if you don't want to hire me, I'll create my own employment. So that was kind of the mindset that I had.
Mm.
So I was telling Jem the same thing. If no one would hire you, let's start a business. And up to now, I'm still telling her because she has these fantastic ideas. No, I'm not kidding. She has a really good idea, which I'm just
Yeah.
advocating
There you
that
go,
she.
Jem. Start it. Putting you on the spot there.
I won't broadcast it because some people might, hey, that's a good idea.
Maybe we can talk about that later.
Yes. So I'm still very much encouraging my children. The best is having your business. You're the boss. You have your own time, and you can create, you can innovate. You just can practice or experiment. You can play with it, and you have you earn. That's the best thing about it. But mine was one helping people at the same time you earn money. So
Yes, I definitely agree with that. I think that starting your own business is such a great idea, but Tita, how could you encourage, like, the people in the audience, whether they're all looking for a job or, wanting to start their own business? What's a piece of advice or encouragement that you could give them to start something like that?
well, first you have to invest on what you do best. Like I was telling my best friend, and this was my best friend since grade school. If only, I'm really technically slash digitally gifted like these
Mm.
young ones, like Jem, my son, um, I would do something else because there's so much there. I mean, I know the pandemic had brought a lot of changes, but in the same vein, it also opened up to new opportunities. And there are some things that I've been toying with, but my limitation is I'm not very like digitally, like how do you embed a video, things like that you can really learn. And I think I am beginning to go that path, learn so I can help myself in these things. And you guys are the younger generation. You're very blessed to be able to these things are instinctive for you. We have to learn it. We're not natives, but just be think out of the box and think like in 5 years what would people need. This thing will go on. I don't think it's not just the new normal. It is now the normal. And I mean, the situation will go on, and like in 5 years what would people need and want to hear and want to see, and just build on that. I have some kind of an idea, but I still need skills to support that. To start it, I say it's never too late. Although I'm old, I'm the matriarch here.
Yes, she's
Wait.
definitely the matriarch.
You're never too old to start something.
Hey,
So
Tita,
yeah.
can you, can you like briefly share some of the actual things that you did in the Philippines? You
Oh,
said you were always business minded and entrepreneur until you moved here.
yeah,
But could you
sure.
just describe it quickly? Like, so cool.
So when I was taking my master's, at the same time, I told you, my dad was my motivator. He said, "Finish your masters. Well, you're not married, and you can, okay? Because you'll be one day you'll find yourself too tired to do anything but work." So I took special education. I mean, master's in education, special education. So after that, I was applying different schools, and I couldn't write. So I said, and plus my my philosophy of education was so different. Being born blind and being
Yeah.
you know how it is. You know how it is to have a disability. It was so different. So I said I would like to apply, my philosophy to my own school. So I didn't even have capital. I didn't have money. So what I did was to make it a foundation and solicit from people who were one then close to me, and it it came a long way, and I was able to convert our house because I obviously I couldn't rent the first floor of our house into a school, which I'm sure Gwen would remember.
I
Carrie, not so much.
remember.
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
It was a
Yeah.
beautiful preschool.
Yeah, and we had a little, not a lot of space, but considerable amount of
Yard.
the backyard
Yeah.
where I built a sand pool and the seesaw and a slide and monkey bars, and it eventually I said I'll build a preschool, but the preschool also was inclusive for children with disabilities. So after that, when I said, you know what, I want to start this program even before early intervention was popular in the Philippines. I said the best way is to start these kids with disabilities early. So I
Mm-hmm.
would go out into the community and work with babies with disabilities. I would just do some early stimulation, whether they have hearing impairment or a visual impairment or a whatever disability. I would common sensically do some intervention stimulation actually, and therapeutic, just to boost their self-confidence, tell the family it's not the end of the world, blah 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 blah, until Helen Keller International, then, well, still now in New York, saw what I was doing and said, "Hey, she's actually doing early intervention." And they approached me and said, "You're doing early intervention." I'm like, "What's that?" So they said, "You mean the discipline?" I said, "Nope." So they said, "Well, we can take you to America where you can learn about it." I mean, we know that you're already doing it, but we learn about it as a field. So I studied early intervention here and educational leadership, and went back to the Philippines, and that's where I started. It was a purely special education outreach where all of my children had disabilities. Um, and we got funding. We got funded by different organizations, United Nations, to name a few. And then the real big change is when I my husband's father was sick, and we had to relocate to Baguio. That's the summer capital of the Philippines. It's a city on a mountain. And at that time, the regular school was run by my brother, Gwen's and Carrie's dad, and I was running the special education component of it. So I just handed everything over to him and relocated to Baguio. And for the longest, I didn't know what to do, like we couldn't apply. I couldn't get a job. It was like starting over again. And our neighbor, who was one of the authorities in a school, I was talking to her and I was telling her what we did in Manila, and she said, "You know what? Why don't you open the same thing here and
Mm-hmm.
integrate it in our school?" So that's exactly what I did. I submitted a proposal and submitted a funding proposal to the Swedish Church Mission.
Wow.
SEM. They still exist, and they funded the proposal. And so in the it is an elementary and high school, and they were starting college. There was a special education component, which the Sweden Church and Mission funded, and we ran that thing. So we trained
Wow.
teachers, we trained
Wow.
yeah, and we even sent, for those teachers who would be handling the vision impaired children with vision impaired. I sent them to the same institution where I was trained for early intervention. Um, so we were running, and then eventually we were thinking, what about for adults, visually impaired adults who didn't go to school, and that's where we started our massage livelihood. If they won't go to school or can't go to school, don't have the aptitude to go to school, then we would have them trained in massage, and then we housed and employed them, and we built partnership with the top hotels in the city, and we had a we were the concessionaires for massage to these top hotels. So, and then eventually a consultancy. We trained people to do medical transcription for those who are blind, medical transcription for the people who are blind. And then we were doing some conferences for nurses and teachers. I had a partner who did that consultancy. And the next project before we left for the United States was to teach English to China, who was then going to be the host of the Olympics. That was when I left. And we
Wow.
were trying to build a platform for teaching the employees, blah, blah, blah. But I came here. I came here.
I want to pause right here, Tita, and I want to say, first of all, you're getting a lot of love from the comments. Mita says, I found my life coach, and there's quite a few people who agree with him. Blind Toes wants to know, and I do too, what is your book and how can he get it?
Book. I don't have a book yet.
Oh, okay. I don't know. That's what he was saying.
I want to
Well, you
write
should
one.
write one. You should
I'm
write one.
putting my pieces together. I do have a website, but it's empty. My son who's watching,
Oh,
your cousin is
okay.
watching. His leadership division.
Ability Mom says, forget a book and make a movie about you.
Oh my gosh.
Why not both? Why not both?
Oh, both. There you go.
Yeah,
And
both.
superhero in the flesh. There you go. And
He
Martha
really is.
wants to
He
say,
really is.
I wish you could do a web chat where women with visual impairments can actually talk about developing a small business. So there's
That's a
just
good idea.
a food for thought for you there. So thank you, Martha, for that
Having
idea.
their own
Maybe
business.
I can host that, and she can be the the speaker, or I'll just be in the background. I'll help you with Zoom. I'll invite a lot of people.
Marquita is her name.
Martha.
Martha. Hi, Martha. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Martha
That's
Macias. I'm not sure if I'm saying the name correctly, but yes. And oh, somebody came into the studio.
That's me. I'm sorry.
Welcome back.
My sister is a little bit technologically challenged, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We love her.
Yeah, I got a
It just is
call.
working.
But I know that Tita, you asked to only be here for about an hour. It's already 10:23. I know you have
right.
work, so I don't know if you want to continue staying, or you can.
That's why I was talking a lot, folks. Forgive me because I have to go soon, but I'll stay for a few. It's 10:23, right? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
10:23.
stay.
Okay, I feel like you need to stand up and take a bow, Tita.
Yeah.
No, because you know my current struggles with my job. So whatever. Go next. I'll listen to to the two others. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I lost you.
Nope.
Well,
Or
there we go. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, yeah.
No. It's okay. She went offline, so I was like, should I? Go ahead. Go ahead, Dutton.
I wanted to ask actually about the culture in Philippines and in your time growing up there, Tita, and also I mean I was 3 when I moved to America, so I didn't really encounter too much of the actual culture in Philippines. And I know that my sister and my cousin and my aunt all have both sides, like American culture and the Filipino culture. Are there any things that really jump out at you about the difference in the culture when it comes to
Wait,
being
I've been
blind?
talking a lot, running my mouth. Let's ask the culture expert, Jem.
The culture expert. There you
What?
go.
Well, I mean, from my experience, I guess in the Philippines, it was more people held back less, held their opinions back less. I don't know how much I can say. Is there like a limit how much I can say? Because Ate Gwen and I were literally talking about
Okay.
this yesterday. Should I say it? Should I?
Yeah. You
Okay.
should say it.
Okay. Well, for me, it's like sometimes I hear conversations with my father and some other adults back then when I was a kid, or and this memory is pretty vague. I don't remember if it was my mother too, but usually it's with my father. But my father would get things from people. It's like, ay, ang ganda-ganda ng anak mo, pero yung
Hoy,
mata.
Tagalog. I
Wait,
mean English.
It's like
English,
I was gonna give an English translation. It's like, oh, your daughter is so beautiful, but it's just her eyes. It's kind of like that. And then my dad would always come to the rescue. With him and his like laugh, and he's like, but like he would always cover. Bless my dad's heart, honestly. And sometimes my parents have always done a good job raising me, in my opinion, because they've made it in a way that like I still grew up normally, if that was like the correct word. I still grew up in a way that I can fit in with everybody, but there's some times where there's rejection in like the Philippines. Like when I was young, my mom was supposed to put me in the same school as my brother, but I got rejected because of my my disability. And so she put me in another school where
And I took her brother out.
Yeah.
In the same school.
From that school.
she
Yeah, because he rejected. I'm like, what kind of school would reject a child
Wow.
with visual impairment? That's not a good school. So I took
Yeah.
my son out of that school as well.
Right. And then, I mean, of course, there's some nice people in the Philippines, but also at the same time, there's still that more directness need, like
A lot more
people-
directness. Yeah.
a lot of very, very direct, and I guess I think it could be fixed with more kind of awareness, which is happening right now. There's been a lot more awareness, it seems, in the Philippines, according to the friends that I've talked to. And when I came to America, it was accessibility wise, it was much better than it was in the Philippines. I mean, of course, there's the lack of technology. I actually was still using carbon paper when I was in the classroom, because my parents would buy carbon paper and then my classmates would write notes and put the carbon paper, but it didn't matter, because sometimes the teachers wouldn't get the students that have the best handwriting, and handwriting matters and how much you can see.
Yeah.
And so I went to the US, and I've had friends, and the interesting thing is they were commenting more on how Asian I was rather than how much I can see. Or sometimes they would have like, lovingly, like my close friends would have like, oh, it's because you're blind, but it's not like a jeering, mocking way. It's just because like, they know me, they accept me, and that's why they can make those jokes. It's like, oh, you make fun of me, but then, they also help me. It's like they already have, I've had people, I remember in high school, like surround me, and they all got my back. They're like, you can't see it. They got my, one person like has my lunch tray, the other one's carrying my bag, and they're like, it's because you can't see. Come on, come here. It's kind of like, that thing. And then if I needed a ride, I would always, like, oh, you need a ride? All right, come here. But you're staying with us tonight, kind of thing. And my dad would go like, no. And then, teachers, they're more they're more accepting. What I do notice here in America is that they're so careful sometimes, to the point where I'm like, dude, chill. Because it's like, can I ask you questions about I'm like, dude, just ask. You don't need to ask me a question if you can ask about it. Just ask. It's like, seriously, it's not a big deal for me. It's not like I'm gonna get like offended. Just ask. So that's just one thing. I mean, I know they're being more careful, but at the same time, that's still one thing that irks me. It's like, you don't have to ask. You can just ask. I don't know if that makes sense. Now, I don't know if you want like the Japan perspective too or not, but like,
yeah, go ahead, since you had experience with that.
With Japan, I mean, I guess like people are also more respectful, and they don't, I mean, how here in America, like they have, close friends can make odds because actually, never mind. I've had friends like that where they also have my back. But like, and I remember in my, I was doing an ALT work internship in Japan, and so I've got a taste of the working environment there too, and the school environment. So I've had a taste of both environments, and basically, how do you I had one teacher in the classroom. I mean, who they try not to be direct about it. They try to be very what do you call that, inconspicuous with it. But at the same time, like sometimes in situations where I had a teacher who was like, all right, class, so no phones allowed, no technology allowed in the classroom. You will all use the paper and pencil, except for Jemsang, because she can't see, and she needs her phone, and she needs her help. Okay, so if you guys see Jemsang using her phone, San is like an honorific, it's like respect, but like if y'all see her using her phone or her technology, she can, but you can't. Okay, she can, but you can't. And I'm just like, I'm like, okay, I thank you.
Really singled you out there, didn't you?
Yeah, but and then I love at the end how he goes like,
get them back by making them watch anime.
What is it? Oh,
There, one said, my husband's reading the comments, Jem, get them back by letting them watch anime.
but like, yeah, I mean, they're of
And
course
then
at the
Paulus
same
said,
time.
she set that ringtone for me, the Stewie mom, because she thinks I sound like him.
But yeah, I mean,
think that's really more fitting for Jem, like that kind of
No,
ringtone.
you should hear.
You should make
Jem's
that too.
ringtone. No,
oh,
you
should I
hear-
call her? Should I
Oh
call
my
her?
God.
Here, let me call her.
No.
Let me call
No,
her.
no.
Okay.
Your dad
No,
is
why?
on the live accessible on my phone. Okay. So one thing I want to say is
I want to hear the ringtone now. Uh-oh.
they want to hear the ringtone.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Follow calling.
No, Jem's ringtone.
Oh.
Oh,
You want to unmute?
It's ringing, but
It's ringing. Unmute it. Oh, hold on. Oh my
let
God.
me call again. it unmuted?
Okay, hold on. Call again.
Pick up your phone! Can't you see it's ringing? Why won't you answer it? Come on! Hello?
That sounds exactly like Jem.
Oh my god!
That is perfect for you, Jem.
Yeah, she's a demanding one. Sue
She's
is more
very
gentle. Like,
needy.
Mom, mommy,
You need to
mommy.
send me that a similar like file like that so I can make a similar ringtone for her.
Sorry, it's Apple only.
Oh gosh. And my husband's ringtone is Game of Thrones, whatever. Okay. Back back, back to culture.
As long
Because
as we don't start getting into dad's ringtone first.
yeah. Well, your dad's ringtone when I call is a pig. You know that, right? Like
Yes, I
really,
hear it all the time.
yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
Interesting. So we were part of so many organizations, even worldwide, like before disabled persons international. And I had this perception that you know in America or in any other country outside of the Philippines, it would be so much better. And I mean, it is. But what I noticed is in the Philippines, you have a sink or swim situation, so you are empowered to just try swimming and surviving. There isn't too much support or as much support. Sometimes I see here that I hear people, and even one of my peer, he's content to be where he is. No, because it's probably because it's provided for the social security and uh, SS, SSDI, and I feel that it's not no longer much of a challenge sometimes because there's that anyway. So I often push them to say, hey, come on, we can do more. We can do more, much more than that. But that's what I've noticed. You would think that, and I was thinking, for example, in Charleston, Gem, right? You would be thinking because this is first world, and I've heard so many accessibility features or accessibility um, in America. But when you go to downtown Charleston, what accessibility are you talking about? There's nothing. I know in some states like New York, when I used to travel there, the traffic lights they have beeps. When to cross, when to not cross. The pavements are textured when you use your cane. There are curbs that are going to help you find your way. And I used to count streets, and I don't know how it is today, but the Philippines don't have that, and so it's like, oh my goodness, the people who are blind and visually impaired in the Philippines are like guerrilla warriors. They really know how to navigate. I'm just so amazed at how they do it, because it's either you survive or you don't. So that's one thing I can tell you. Also of course here in America, they're sensitive, disability sensitive, and they're very tactful. In the Philippines, you get questions like, of course it's in Tagalog, but why are your eyes like that? They're weird. I'm like, so you don't get that all here. Um, People are
People definitely think
respectful.
it though. They might not
Yeah.
voice it, but they absolutely think it. And sometimes
Yeah.
you feel that.
You can
Yeah.
feel it.
Feel it,
For
absolutely.
real.
And I mean, it's not said straight to your face. Yes, that could be the big difference. It's not said straight to your face.
And
Yeah,
it kind of makes it obvious with that question, like, can I ask you?
Ask you a question.
Yeah, that just makes me feel the like, what you're thinking more, because it's like, just ask. Seriously. My goodness.
it's actually interesting because when I moved to America, I was 3 years old, but I remember going to school, and actually, I think it's also because they were children, right?
Yeah.
They don't have as much of that kind of
yeah.
sensitivity.
You're right.
Inhibition, yeah.
So they
yeah.
would, and I was like in preschool and kindergarten. So like, oh, why are your eyes like that? They're weird. Like, so
Yeah.
I would get those questions a lot of the time, or why are you rolling your eyes at me? Or
Are
are
you-
you Chinese?
I got the Chinese comment. I got the Chinese comment.
Yeah.
I got that a lot
I
because
get that.
because we do have microcornea. Our eyes are smaller, and they look, I guess they look Chinese. I don't know, but
And they're always moving.
yes, they are always moving.
Always moving. At least mine are always moving.
And so, yeah, I mean, and I think too, sometimes even when I started working here in North Carolina at the Industries for the Blind, some people would also ask that, they would ask, oh, what's wrong with your eyes? Like, even with like hundreds of blind people and visually impaired people working at this place, there would still be people who would ask, why are your eyes moving that way? And I think sometimes it's just a lack of awareness, and sometimes they just actually do want to know. And I think that sometimes we take it in that like offended kind of way, like,
that's true.
but sometimes they just actually just want to know, like, what is it? So
That's why I always tell them I don't mind. I mean, you can ask, answer, because
exactly.
it's usually a lack of education.
Yeah, but sometimes it's kind of hard to tell if they're just asking or if they have some kind of, they're trying agenda or something.
Mm.
And I mean, I get that a lot, actually. Well, not a lot, but I've gotten a few comments even on YouTube, because of course, it's in the internet. You don't have reservations because they're not actually in front of you talking, but people will say, oh, why do your eyes move that way? And like, I have to stop and like think about it sometimes. I'm like, okay, I most of the time I try to think that they're actually just wondering.
Yeah.
And I try my best not to be snarky at them.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard not to.
But it is hard, but at the same time, people just really, they don't know. And that's what we have to be about, spreading that awareness. And if we react badly to them, I feel that they're going to carry that.
Yeah.
They're going to carry that with them when they interact with another person who is blind or visually impaired.
Yeah. Be careful with people whose eyes are moving. It's called nystagmus, y'all.
We don't bite.
Only a little bit.
Only like sometimes.
Well, I might actually. Never mind.
Well, actually, yes, Jem might.
It depends
I
on
might.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And how much coffee we've had
Oh yeah, it depends on how
in
much
the morning. Yeah.
We're gonna be together, folks. We're gonna be visiting these ladies in July. So
Woo.
So we do plan to do like an in-person live stream. Well, I don't know if it'll happen.
Mhm.
I don't know, but we will see.
I'm definitely gonna raid her channel though.
Oh gosh. Uh-oh. I need to password protect everything. Lock the door. Lock the door.
If you
Well, at
guys
least
hear my voice in Carrie's channels, you know what happened. GG.
This is Jim Carrey.
yeah, if I all of the sudden start being mean to all of you guys, you know what happened.
Whoa. Hey, I am nice. I am nice. A little bit.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, your viewers
Tita,
might get bored.
they want you to adopt them.
She makes really good tea.
Oh yes, she does.
Oh my goodness.
She's the family tea maker.
I can attest to that.
What kind
Or
of
just
tea? The tea that we drink or the tea that we listen to?
Both. Both.
Oh God. Okay.
So all of this to say that whether you have aniridia or whatever visual impairment you have, whether it's RP, macular degeneration, Stargardt's, cataracts, any ROP, any condition, you're going to be faced with challenges, and you're always going to face different life circumstances. But with the community behind you, with technology, with motivation, you can still do so much. You can still accomplish so much. And my aunt, who's totally blind, she has accomplished so much. And, she's just an inspiration, I think, to me, to Jem, to my sister. And, as many of you have shared, she seems to be an inspiration to you guys. And hopefully we'll be able to have these three people, especially my aunt, back on the channel. She's definitely somebody who has a lot of wisdom and has a lot
Gray
of
hair.
insight. And I think I have shared this with some of you guys, but we are working on a future podcast that will be featured, will go live in probably 2024.
Oh my God.
But it's something that you guys could look forward to with
No,
all
don't say
these ladies.
2024, please.
All right. 2034.
Oh my God.
No.
It's called vision collision. And you see now why? Because we couldn't get our stuff straight because of these whatever.
Hey, I was the good girl here. You can ask Ate. Okay.
Yes,
No.
she was here. I told everybody to be here 15 minutes before 9. Jem was here like 8 minutes before 9, so she did the best. She got
Wait
like
a minute.
100%.
I was here. What time? 10 minutes before.
You're past
I get the hint, guys.
You were here like 4 minutes before 9,
before 9.
and then my sister.
10 minutes after 9.
I don't even
You
know
gotta
what to do
excuse
with
her.
it.
She goes in Filipino time.
Yeah, she's definitely no. She's not even in Filipino time. She's on Gwen time.
Yeah. It's
I should
after
have
the
told.
Filipino and after the Southern time.
Oh my
I should have
gosh.
told her to be here an hour before, and she probably
Yeah.
still would have been late. Oh my goodness. Well, does anybody have any last words about Aniridia, about being blind or visually impaired, before we start closing up the stream?
Well,
So
my
I
usual.
would say, yeah, go ahead, Tita.
Go ahead.
No, we'll leave Tita for the last.
Oh.
Okay, I would say
The best for
that
last.
I learned that you really what I needed to do was to find my my identity beyond, Aniridia, or beyond any limitation really that you have. That's not, I had to realize that that wasn't who I was, and when I realized that, and that's not who, I was able to move on, and I was able to do a lot of things that I wouldn't have been able to do if I continued to cling to that narrative, that this is me, I'm the one who's blind or legally blind, and these are what I can't do because of that. And today I'm homeschooling my children. I don't have a career or a job, but I did have a calling, and it was my calling to educate my children. It was my calling to build my home, and I couldn't have fulfilled that calling if I didn't accept that Aniridia is not who I am, but I have an identity beyond that. So for anyone who has that feeling or who believes that about themselves, you you really have to find out who you really are beyond your disability. Yeah.
I would have to echo what she said. Like,
Yeah.
For me, it was mainly like, Aniridia to me was like actually the enemy
Yeah.
for me, for me, from my perspective, and I didn't accept it, and like the whole time I was like, it was the enemy, the enemy, the enemy, until you know I had a realization where I was like, well, I consider, if that was the case, then I mean, Aniridia is a part of me, but it's not my identity. Like, it's not the all encompassing, my all
It doesn't
like
define you.
it doesn't define me. It doesn't define me, but it is like, but it is something that I have to embrace, that's a part of me, in order for me to move on and realize, that, you know, for me to succeed in life, I guess. I mean, I'm still working on it. I'll get back to you guys in like, I don't know how many years, but part of, I guess, what I realized so far is that I have to, you know, accept and embrace it in order for me to, be comfortable in my own skin, and kind of move forward and kind of gain a personality that's not built upon like always fighting a part of myself, but accepting my whole self.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah. I definitely relate to, being comfortable in your own skin.
Mhm.
Even despite or because of our family all, being, well, not all of it, but many of us being blind or visually impaired, even despite that, I don't know, there was just this sense of it's normal at home, but once I
Yeah.
step out of the home,
Yeah.
you are the odd one out. And it took me, I don't know, I think that in a way we're all still learning, and we're all still in the process, I would say, of being comfortable with ourselves, and our disability. And each day brings new challenges, but I think that with examples of people who have overcome, the stigma of their disability, we can learn from them, and we can have motivation and be brave enough, like my aunt, and hopefully also be part of a community, because it can feel very lonely, or like you're the only one. But when you have others who are going through similar things, whether it's looking for a job, whether things are not accessible, whether you're having friend problems or family problems with relation to your blindness.
For
If
me,
you have a community around you to support you, it's a lot easier to go through those things.
Yes, that's
Hey,
true.
can I add one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
No, you can't. I'm just kidding. You're not allowed. You were late. No, I'm just kidding.
so yeah, I I wanted to add that I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but thinking about all that I just said right now, and what Carrie said and what Jem said, you know, I think about this whole thing, and to be perfectly honest, like I would have never felt this way before ever in my life, but actually today I can absolutely 100% say to myself that I count Aniridia in my life, that limitation, my blindness, it is it is a blessing in my life. I absolutely go beyond that. I'm coping with it today. I can say I wouldn't have chosen it if you asked me to start my life over again and I don't have to have it. I don't know if I could say yes, but I would definitely say that um, this limitation has been, God has used this to bless me in certain in a lot of ways in my life. There are things that I would never have um, if if I if wasn't the situation that I was placed in. And that, first of all, is my every everyday dependency everyday dependency on not myself, or not that I don't care or don't think that everybody else can help me, but my the most wonderful blessing is for me to completely every single day surrender and depend on God for everything that I need in my life. So just that alone, that faith that I have and that peace that I have, if God used Aniridia in my life to be able to have that peace, then I can say, I have a purpose and I am cared for, and that is my identity. And that it wasn't for nothing that I have this. So am thankful. I am thankful for everything that God that did and is doing in my life, including this. And I think that for others, you also can find that peace and can find that there's a purpose behind your struggles as well.
Yes, I echo that,
I
Ate. I also want to say that probably, at least in my case, I'm thankful that God, put Aniridia in my life to prevent me from doing some
Wicked
some
thing.
decisions.
Yes.
What were you gonna say, Tita?
Oh, am I? Is it my turn?
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
No, you're fine. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, your dad, my brother, and I were talking like, oh my goodness, what if we didn't have Aniridia? Oh, if
Mhm.
you know our
Would be
heart, how
completely different.
it will be completely different. I probably won't be I mean, absolutely not the person that I am now, being so arrogant, being so, feeling that you can do everything, and something God had to put a disability to say, hey, stop. You're not all powerful. Okay. But
Mhm.
you have to, I mean, physical vision, yes, it is a limitation, but go beyond physical vision. Seek for a vision for your life, a vision for your family, a vision for your community. Carrie was talking about community. You know, seek a vision other than physical. If you don't have the vision, definitely there is a horizon, unlimited horizon of vision beyond your physical. Also, use whatever limitations you have. You can sometimes, or a lot of the times, use it as a leverage to get something,
Yeah,
definitely
turn
you
it
can
around
leverage it,
and make it
right?
an advantage. Yeah.
Work it,
Mhm.
make it work for you, to get what you want. And also, like, as I said, if I weren't um visually impaired, I wouldn't have thought of putting up my own school, right? It would have been, I would be working for some school and be a corporate slave forever. And then my thing is, heart sight. He would learn to see with your heart, because your heart definitely can perceive a lot of things that your physical eyes can't. So, see with your heart, see how people are, see life from your heart, because life, our heart is a fountain from which all issues of life spring. So if
Yeah.
you see with your heart and you clear your heart sight from blindness, then definitely you'll be able to see clearly. Also, you get more great. Why do you close your eyes when you kiss? So, I mean, because, to be creative, you just shut your physical sight from this world to be not distracted, by your physical environment. And that's where creativity starts. Like, go beyond what you see in the physical to create something that the world hasn't seen or done or said. But most of all, seek God, seek your God, seek God. And you guys are very intelligent. We really, I know that I mean, our viewers know what they're doing, and you know how to seek your God, who is going to guide you through life.
Yes,
I'm,
thank you
I'm
for that, Tita.
yeah, I
What
was
were you
gonna
gonna
say,
say?
no, I was gonna say I'm done because you guys are all
Oh,
quiet.
well, I just want to add like one thing. I think sometimes, excuse me. I think we sometimes we get stuck thinking about what could be, or what could have been, or what we could have done better. But we can't go back. There's no going back. We can only move forward. And so I think that just look at what's ahead of you and make the best of what you have now, what you have today, and move forward. And don't keep looking, to the past and backwards. There's still so much ahead of each of us, and there is always hope. And all of you guys are part of not only this community, but the Live Accessible family. And you know, like I mentioned in the comments, you fit right in. And you might be the odd one out in your family or in your community, but in our community, you fit right in. We all do. Well, thank you so much, Tita Tina, and Ate Gwen and Jem, for coming on. This has been so much fun, and I hope to have you guys again, especially in July when you guys come over. Hopefully, we can arrange something. But yes, thank you to everybody who came and watched and who joined in the live chat. The live chat was like hopping today. It was great. And thank you, Kuya Pao. What's his name on YouTube? Paulo Ponce, for the sticker. That's very much appreciated. And everybody, happy Aniridia Day, and we all hope that you have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.